Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission. Issues at hand.
Well, good morning once again, and this is Issues at Hand. We welcome you to Church of Uganda Family TV. Today is a Monday, and of course, we have a very interesting discussion this morning. We know that it's almost 1 month, or about 1 month, ever since the presidential candidates started their campaigns. And of course, unlike what was expected, it seems that the campaigns are a little peaceful, and they're a little peaceful for now, especially with the presidential candidates, unlike what happened in 2020, 2021, when we had scientific campaigns. And of course, the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Honorable Norbert Mao, came out and said that this was not going to be business as usual. In other words, he had actually assured us that we do not expect any commotion during campaigns. I think apart from Kakumiro, we've not seen, especially the opposition candidates, being challenged so much. Much as at some point they have had a crash with police at some point, but I mean, it is not as violent as everyone expected it to be. And of course, what does this mean? And everyone is saying these are the most boring campaigns, presidential campaigns ever. We don't know what people expected it to be, what they call boring, especially when it gets at that level. But with us is Mr. David Egesa, who is a private investigator, and of course, he's the one we have to analyze these campaigns, especially for the presidents, as we wait for the launch of the parliamentary campaigns, which will be launched next week on the 11th. So it's a pleasure having you this morning.
Thank you so much. Good morning, viewers. Good morning, listeners. My name is Freddy David Egesa.
It's a pleasure having you this morning at such a critical moment when we analyze, especially the interventions of the security institutions in the campaigns. Of course, we've seen a few clashes. Just to get into maybe a brief history of how the campaigns have been, the presidential campaigns have been, and how these ones are different from the previous campaigns.
Yeah, there's quite a difference. Think, of course, like people expected a lot of drama. You know, Ugandans, we sometimes get bored and we want to look. And of course, we still suffer from that kind of how do you call it? Like war. How do you call it? It's like war dreams. We love. Sometimes we love that kind of war. We want that kind of situation where there's skirmishes, where there is fights, where there is clashes. It's like we seem to be. I think we're kind of oriented in that because most of us were raised around war. So it's like we may not have a real war of guns and so many other things. So people expected a war of skirmishes, political skirmishes and fights here and there. And I think for now, on the other side, I would say that the public is bored. They are wondering if we are doing elections or it is some kind of stage managed something, or opposition and government have kind of come together to take the government the public for a ride, because they're not seeing the vibe of war and tear gas and Kiboko squad and crime preventers coming into play. So a lot of things are like they had never happened. So as analysts, we are here to say what could have happened and why is it now that what was expected of to come out did not come out. Because you should also realize that the opposition somehow has been affected, because it's like they did not do enough research to appreciate that now the government has kind of changed, does not even change the guards, but has changed the approach on how to deal with campaigns. It's like the government has now tried to come closer to the people. Like, when Museveni came in, when he came in, he came swimming on popularity. He became so popular because the people were being there was a lot of trouble with the general public. So that's how Museveni came in, and he got very popular. In fact, the first 2, 3, maybe 2 elections, you couldn't play around with. You could not even dislodge him here and there because Museveni was still deeply close to his people, and it's like it was Museveni and the people. Now, when politics came in grossly, what happened is, I think the president was taken by surprise because he had mastered the military might, the strength of the strength of militarism, and he thought at one time that it could help him deliver and possibly put him into that political kind of supremacy. But once you bring in forces, then they clash not only with the few but with the general public. Because you should also know that even the few who come out to clash with the military are owned by the public. So the public tends to take offense. And that's what happened exactly. You'd see that last time we had issues. We even lost over 70 or 100 people in a situation that could not be properly explained. I think I'll buy into the mind of one of the people I highly respect, that's General Saleh. One day he came up and said that these youths are they are not bandits, they are not terrorists, but they are just politically charged. So now it was a situation of saying, why are they politically charged? Because they do not feel their government. So in the process, when they come out in defiance. And when they come out in defiance, there are no answers given. So in the process, someone goes to the president and says, my lord, Your Excellency, I think we need to buy more tear gas, we need to buy more of these cannon vehicles, we need to buy more of whatever. So a budget is drawn, money is given, and all that is brought. And all that was negative. So it is a situation that Museveni has, I think, bothered to study the game plan. He has bothered to know that people do not hate him, but people dislike several of the things which were being done, possibly without even his knowledge. Museveni made it's not a mistake, it's a kind of a learning process. There's a time when you got so busy with the foreign policy, with the military, and somehow, somewhere, forgot about the social, economic programs
of the country. And that's where he would deploy. Of course, he would put some of his blue-eyed boys and whatever, but these were his blue-eyed boys, not the public's blue-eyed boys. That's where the problem came up. If someone does not care about the public, if you don't care about why musicians are fighting, if you don't care about why border borders are being beaten or this and the other, then you raise an army of a multitude of an army which you may never manage. And I'm telling you, if I can read the calculations of the opposition, they had greatly relied on what people think about the president, but they forgot to research about if the kind of the gap between the president and the public still existed. So in the process, that's why of course the opposition is enjoying, but not so well like it would be. In fact, last time you'd wonder, it is the forces, it is the security houses, it is the police that almost built the opposition. Because they gave them clout, they gave them a platform, they made them visible, they made the government look so dirty. The government looked so dirty in whatever they're doing. Think of a situation that someone goes, he picks taxpayers' money, he buys, not even canes. We used to have what they call chiboko yemvubu, small whips. People went and bought like big sticks to beat their own public. Then someone had to get a fund to create what we call Chiboko Squad. To beat who? You want votes. This is a civil situation. And now you are arming against the people you believe you should vote you in. So there was justification for people to kind of resent the regime. And I'm sure the regime managed to look at this.
That's why you see as there are programs now like wealth creation, where people, civil coordinators who are ex-military and whatever have been deployed in every location to understand and appreciate the minds of the people and feedback the executive so that the executive can plan well. That's one of the things we have been having. We could have a situation, and there was also a lot of fragmentation of the core security. ISO is doing its own. I mean, CMI is also whatever. Everybody wants to represent the president that he hates the opposition and he likes him, but they're just literally messing up the country. Today, it's a very different thing. Opposition is legal. Now, when you're dealing with the legal thing, you don't deal with them like outlaws. Should give them some kind of respect. In fact, to a certain extent, there's a saying that akugoba yakuwa magezi. Opposition has helped so much to shape this regime, because they have told them that here is where there is pain, here the people are crying there, and to a certain extent, now the regime has mastered the art of correction, and that's why you see today it's like. I'm very sure that if the presidential elections are as we are going now, these ones of MPs will just be a walkover, because there will be no need. They always, it is about the presidential where there is real deployment, real excitement. We have been seeing soldiers and policemen behaving like they have not gone to school. But today, it's a very different situation. You can see that someone somewhere is in charge. And I think we have to applaud the government.
Okay, so basically you brought out the element. Of course, very many people have come out to say that now the opposition will miss out on the sympathy of the voters, because now people are considering this man was beaten so severely, and so let us consider them. And now if there is no more violence and commotion, does it still remain on sympathy as it was?
What used to create a situation that propelled the opposition was a situation of it was that kind of protest vote. Why should police beat us? Because when you beat anybody, you are beating the public. Why should the police do this? It's not like maybe someone was not beaten. It's like the aggressiveness the police was showing. It was like the aggressiveness the army was showing that made people feel that they're not protected and they're not safe. People don't vote for anybody. They vote for themselves. Now, it was a situation of Kulabisa. The forces collapsed. They kind of exposed what the people should expect of the regime. They made the opposition. They kind of fortified the opposition's reasoning that this force was the state was coercive, the state was unfair, the state was so many things, and in the process, the public could kind of be persuaded. You remember we used to be on TV shouting our voices hoarse about the memes we had. Whenever there would be an election, we could have deaths. Deaths, we are very sure. We could have memes. People would be in hospital. We were literally maiming our own people. So in a civil setup where you are looking for votes and not going to use power ultimately to take power, so this was not a war zone. In war, you can open all you hear America shouting at Russia, and Russia says, what you have, we have, so we can fight. Now, when they fight, of course, there will be destruction. I don't know who will win in the war, but that is how you look at militarism. Militarism had taken center stage, and it was deliberate. I wouldn't say it was deliberate, because the president seemed to want the best, but he didn't know how to deliver it. In fact, there is a time when I could see Museveni on his own. He was on his own because he lacked lieutenants. He lacked people who appreciated what should be done. Many of the people wanted to impress him. Many of the people wanted to point a picture that they are much more NRM than himself, but they didn't know how to do it. And many made a lot of money just because of that kind of situation, that possibly there was a breakage in intelligence. He could not literally pick who is working for him or who is working against him. When you could see what used to happen, I used to be so much on TV, and sometimes I would wonder if the police was literally helping the opposition and embarrassing the state. Because what is the police in this situation? It is the first curtain. It is the sitting room. It is the reception of state. What the police does interprets in the minds of the state, the public, and that's how the public understands government. If the police is bad, if the police is coercive, if the police is misbehaving with whatever, if the police is excessively harming people, nobody can support such a regime.
Well, Mr. Igesa, we are taking a short commercial break. When we return, we are going to talk about what happened in Arua, in Lira, and of course, you'll give us your comment on that. We are coming back shortly.
Issues at hand. This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission. This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission. Issues at hand.
Welcome back from the commercial break. This is Issues at Hand, and of course, we are having a lens through the presidential campaigns, of course, the messaging and the extremism messaging, but also, most importantly, what has turned out to be a talk of town that for the first time ever, Uganda is having peaceful presidential campaigns, and of course, people have come out to say they're extremely boring. I mean, there is some sort of excitement that people expected, probably. But I mean, I think the boring comes because it's non-violent this time. But we saw in a shift of events a raid in Rira, where the NUP presidential candidate had slept and his team. And of course, police came out to issue out a statement on the conduct and said the team had confiscated, I mean, they had stolen, the word was stolen, they had stolen PC, clothes, and some other, and they had also, I think, somehow caused some fault on the car tire. So, and that is why they had to take some, and then, of course, but was this done lawfully? Because there's been an accusation that there is a double cabin that is on the trail of the candidate, which keeps on changing number plates. So today it has this number plate, the other time it has a different number plate, and then it has a different number plate. And I think to them that is why they came against whatever was in this vehicle to find out what exactly it was up to when in what they thought it was following them.
Well, thank you so much. But I think that is really nonsensical. Why do I say it's nonsensical? You know, when all the presidential candidates have been designed around with some kind of security detail, who are government officers. So, in such a situation, if we are to go fairly civil and possibly use better the better part of our brains, should we kind of jump into an excited camp of young men just because we don't know how to deal with the situations? Because the police is well trained. I'm very sure that the state, because it is allowed, if the opposition had refused security personnel within their own systems, it would be different, because they would be acting like a team of outlaws. But if what they are doing is legal, that's what we know. Of course, there may be mistakes, there may be bad personal behaviors here and there, but is raiding the best? Is whatever is legal right? Is whatever is legal proper? Is whatever is legal peaceful? We have to be very careful. To me, I believe that yes, there may be some wrong elements, and you also have to know that in opposition, it is part of the game that you excite the government forces to make them appear dirty. So if someone wants to make you appear dirty, what do? Do you also become dirty, or you try your level best? Yes, if there is a vehicle moving and doing all that type of things, we have the internal command. Chechagurany has a detail of security personnel. I'm sure, I think it should be either an inspector or maybe some kind of fairly seasoned, senior officer. When there is such a situation, let it be raised and say, please, let's handle this one, we need this one, someone, and do this and the other. If we are supposed to help this nation, especially the young people, understand that militarism will never bring peace in the country. Look at Sudan. You have heard about, I think when I was reading, and they're saying 2,000 people were killed in that kind of skirmishes. The day you try to become forceful is the day you lose it. The police, yes, there may be, I cannot really deny that there could be issues here and there. But how do we handle these issues? How do we need to storm and possibly, without even knowing, because you may storm and then you never know what they have. And then something bad goes off, or something bad, whatever. There are better ways of dealing with the internal security of a moving team than raiding it, and more especially at night. Because why don't you come during the day? These people are moving, they're on the move. If you believe that raiding them at this position is whatever, you can even address it using the teams you have deployed there in terms of the police. So personally, I will not support an idea about unwarranted storming, and then you come up and say we did it because of ABC. Just try to be careful too. If you can demand that they surrender that vehicle, and if they refuse, you can possibly even try to look civil, try to play their game, go to court and get a court order, serve it on the authorities and say we need ABCD as summons. Why do you go to cocking guns around these young, sometimes unruly youths? What are you looking for? Should we look at a situation where we lose 2 or 3 or 4 and then the government is blackmailed? That's what we want? Let's just do the right things at the right time. Excitement will never put the country right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said it right, because I mean, and then of course in Parliament still there came an issue of who should compensate for the property that was destroyed, because at some point we saw the police trying to break the doors, the glasses, and all that. And so, who should compensate? Is it the client who had hired the space, or the police, or the owner of the facility should find their way out?
Of course, depending on what is happening, I think state takes the duty to handle that, because okay. Let's look at if a situation, was the raid justified? If it was justified, was breaking of glasses and destroying this and destroying the other the best way? Couldn't there be other civil ways like sieging? You can siege them for a few hours and tell them to come out. They'll get tired and come out. I mean, why do we want to be in a hurry when we're dealing with human beings? And then we are dealing also with property. There should be some kind of tuning down to do what is proper. Let's not try to indicate that we have boys who are fairly trained and then they can somersault from the sky. It doesn't help this country. We need to size down and pull down and make sure that people realize that they are being managed in peace, not by force. Okay. So the police, in such a case, of course, when they go to court, it will be a case of arguing that they were doing their right things. But there are limits to everything. There are limits. You can kill a person, you can shoot a person, yes, but there should be circumstances that make you believe that you went there because there was a very serious emergency. And you went there to respond, and in the process, your life came under danger, and then you discharged a weapon. But if you are there just to go and indicate that you are well dressed and you have the best weapons, then I think we are building a nation on a very wrong foundation.
So does it mean that the state, having mastered the art of not giving the opposition chance to use their weakness as their strength, we might not have any sort of violence? Are there any challenges that, especially the presidential candidates on the opposition are facing?
You know what you have to know now is that I think the highest tension would have been another presidential elections. And with other elections, like the MPs and mayors and everybody, it's going to be a very different thing. Because, people are kind of abandoning colors. Other than with the top leaderships, people are kind of abandoning colors to deal now to elect ability and possibly accessibility and fairness. That's why some of us, when I look at myself the way I'm going, I'm definitely is known. If I take the president, I'm very likely to come and teach the engineer down here in the center. Yeah, why? Because I believe my friend who has been there has been too antagonistic to even pull anything to benefit the city. So there are areas now we are not. Some of us are not even going by after the presidential. We are like people are looking at abilities. People are looking at in areas where people have overstayed and they are only fighting government. They are only abusing government. You may find that they are going to be replacements. Because what do we want? Do we want someone who continues abusing government and nothing is being done, or we want someone who can dialogue? Okay, take his position, then dialogue and come up with a kind of a setup position with the power that are. So, don't expect so much. I know after this, of course, there may be individual area, some particular areas where MPs may kind of fight, but that is very easy to control because now security would have learned that even the president is not interested in showing which color you are. Which some of the forces have been doing. The president is much more interested in a certain level of peace. So if there is a situation that maybe comes in Ruengo, you know, there are areas like Ruengo and others, I'm sure that the security there will be much more conscious to deal with the situation in a much more professional way. So for now, you see, my face is a bit light. I'm much more old, but a bit light because I believe that I'm trying to see something better than what I used to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what has contributed to all this?
I think one, I would say that there, even if the President Museveni used to deploy people in different offices like security, he never had proper control over them. He could give them that. We used to have provinces. He would give them a province, they become governors, they do whatever they want, and only come to pick money, and then come to lie to him, and then come to play around with him. Today, I think he's much more on the ground, using the deployments he has done. I've told you, like the Operation Wealth Creation, where General Saleh is. You could see that now in every district, there is maybe a retired colonel who knows what is happening. So the president is getting better information now and is much more precise on advice, on better advice. Think of a situation. Who really advised the president to pick some of these advisors who are abusing people? Those were misfirings. And I'm sure someone told him, if you tell this, if you pick this girl, if you do this one, you'll get boosted.
All her following will turn to
yes. If she comes and abuses people, now I'm sure. You see, someone comes and starts saying all the bad words, and he says, "I'm from the president." A person who advises the president should be noble. Should be respected. Should know what to say at what time. So it was advice gone bad. I sympathize with the president. Like I said, he was walking his own single journey as a leader, because when he came from war, he deployed that kind of mind. Many thugs started putting on his yellow shirt and confusing. They started disturbing people, stealing, grabbing land, confusing the police, ordering even the killers to be released because I'm NRM, because I'm this and the other. And that's how the government had been hated. People started feeling that being NRM is a disgrace to the nation. And I think that correction is now coming in, and there we are good to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've just talked about something that is important about this, but also still hear voices, especially in the areas of Mawogola, for example, where still a general and the incumbent are still each sending violent words to the other. But also we look at people who are not supposed to actively be in partisan politics coming out. For example, in Chotera, we saw a police officer campaigning for the honorable minister, and then at some point we see RDCs and very many other people who are not supposed to be in partisan politics coming out openly in the public to participate and to contest for particular candidates. What does this mean, especially in the elections that we are going in for?
You know, political foolishness is like a disease. It cannot be healed at once. You have to keep giving doses. The first, you give a first dose, a booster dose, a preventive dose, and so many other things. Some people used to think that. I used to say, I will push you back into the Obote time. Yeah. There is a man who could, like in Nakulebe there, he was known, I will not mention his name, but he would put on the police, the UPC uniform, then he would go singing, oh, mama, Congress part of that, but then he would order the butcherman, I want 5 kilograms, I want sugar, then he would walk away. Yes, taking advantage of the situation. Now, that's what has been happening. And that sickness, it is good that at the head it has been addressed, but expect that sickness to take some time to heal. That's why you will see a policeman standing up and doing this and the other. But I'm sure with Byakagaba, there are now better kind of mechanisms. There are guys who have tired. The guys who I will applaud, like the dam leaders. You have seen that they have kind of refined intelligence to a certain extent that I think the right information now goes to the president for purposes of proper decision making. There will be issues like in Maogola. Of course, you'll talk about the Sechiko wars and whatever. These have been NRMs and they have been untouchables. So that kind of change may continue to a certain level, but can be controlled now that at the helm there is a situation of saying, let's not antagonize. Let's do this, let's do the other. Of course, it may not completely be, we're only looking at the advantage, the kind of, what the improvements. We're not saying everything is now okay and rosy and what, no. We are saying, listen, the president has been far away from his people. Those who have been masquerading on the party house, in the party houses, claiming to be NRM, most of them have been liars. But now I think he himself has used other means to reach the poor person. So people have started feeling back their president. And now that's where opposition has to work double hard. Because it's not about abusing Museveni, it should be about what you have done. Things are changing. Today you would say, Musiru, and people would be happy. Today it's not that situation. Other people say, again, that. So the opposition should now wake up to build some kind of, let them change the game into what may help them to appreciate. Otherwise, it may be a situation of here and there. You may even find some NRMs picking one of the opposition people because he has ability, because maybe he can do something. You have seen many of these people who have run, who have fled into what we call independence. You may find that several independents are going to go through because the colors, the primaries and whatever, there was a lot of nonsense. There's a lot of things. They're fighting. You may not know whether they're right or wrong, but there's that kind of loss of trust. You have heard about this situation of saying, Bamumye Kadi, he was not given a card. We do not know. But for us, as the public, as long as we look at someone and believe that he has ability, some of us, after the presidential, don't tell us so much about colors. We're not interested. We want someone who can come up and he adds to whatever is there.
So while we wind up with this discussion, what are your parting shots, especially in the gap in civic education? Because up to now, we have people, much as people's eyes are being opened, we also have a category of people who don't seem to be bothered by elections. They're not even willing to participate. And these are people who would expect to be at the front, and they have folded their hands and looked back to whatever is happening, and they don't seem to be interested in even voting on that day, on the 15th of January.
Yeah, of course, there was that kind of situation where the government was extremely high-handed and the opposition was extremely abusive. Now, a sensible, well-groomed person got lost and realized that the best he can do is just to sit and see and look at it as if it was drama. But people, with time now, people seem to appreciate and understand why there is opposition and what the government is doing. It used to be like a system of very few people. People say, government here. This is our position. Now, some of us were left in space. We didn't know where to nest. But it's like inclusion is coming bit by bit. You have seen the government has started releasing law. There's a microfinance man and things like that. So people tend now to look at one of the biggest problems the president has to deal with should be the way taxes are being collected. Of course, a nation needs taxes, but the one, tax fraud is like very high. Then secondly is how it is collected is also another problem. Then another bad thing maybe which has kind of come out is some of the powerful have grabbed land and properties. The president has to look at all those three things, because you find a family being displaced from Gomba and pushed on the streets in Kampala. Now, those are votes lost. If the president can deal with those high-handed pockets of guys who work in areas and say we are military, we are attached, we are state house, we are doing this and the other, and diffuse that kind of confusion. To me, I still believe that people can rebuild confidence and come back into politicking and come back into loving their nation, and of course vote, because now they believe they may try to understand that what they are voting for is real, other than what they have been into.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Igesa, and of course to your viewer, thank you so much. And most importantly, let us keep it peaceful. You do not have to be violent to present your case. Peace is key. Therefore, thank you so much for following us. And so you who had concerns that the campaigns are boring, now you know they're not just boring, but there is a mastery of the art of how things should be done. And I believe that we are enjoying the scene, because, I mean, having campaigns where we do not have to have someone dying, where we do not have to see people's businesses being disrupted and looted simply because of a presidential candidate who is coming in a space. I think that is the Uganda we want. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching us from where we started from up to now. We've come to the end of Issues at Hand. I've worked with SC, Patience, and of course the entire team that we started with way back in the morning. From the entire team, we wish you a blessed morning.